Hey friends, welcome back to our weekly show where we are asking the what if question to picture a world we can help create together. A big hello if you are tuning in each week, and a bigger hello if this is your first time. When one searches for the meaning of the word waste, two definitions stand out. The first one is the noun version, which we have grown up hearing, and that is an unusable material, substance, or a byproduct. Great, understood. The second one is a verb version, and that is more interesting and also relevant in our times. And that is use or expend carelessly, extravagantly, or to no purpose. Fortunately, the verb is getting its much deserved recognition, considering we may have let it spiral out of control in the last couple of decades. We chat with Lokesh Sambhwani, co founder of Recube, on how values of sustainable practices need to make a comeback in a post-single-use world.
Recube is all about creating a social impact. Like we tell ourselves that we want it to become like a social community that everyone's a part of and everyone's there to create a change in the society. So you started off with, of course, in the sustainability sector. So what I'm trying to say over here is, if at any point of time in future, when if Puja has an idea in the sustainability sector which can make things convenient for people, which can make things easier for people, and which can make things much better for the environment, in our capacity to empower Puja to do and scale up a proper business model for it. So currently Recube has two brands, Capable and Refillable, which currently revolve around creating a sustainable future in terms of eliminating packaging waste, create enabling a circular economy, and everything like that. So the eventual goal for Recube is always going to be to become that social community eventually, and have as many brands as possible, connect to as many number of people as possible in the same role, and people, like-minded people who want to change, create a change in the environment. It's all about that.
So tell us more about how these alternatives, which are coming at a very, very crucial point in our lifetime, how are they helping build the circular economy? How are they contributing to that concept?
So for me to answer that question, I'll just have to give you a brief background on what the entire problem is. So like everyone knows that there is this climate change happening, and there's global warming is at an all point, or like as an all-time high, and people really don't dive into it to understand what the major issue is over here. So what I'm trying to say is that in our day-to-day lives, we have become so careless, or the linear economy, what may people may call it, like we don't care about how a thing is particularly made, how we dispose it, how it affects the surroundings around us, that we don't bother doing about anything. So I'll just give you an example that why did we start with packaging and what kind of an impact are Capable and Refillable creating. So when imagine us going to a milkshake joint, just grabbing a cup of coffee or tea or any kind of beverage, we would get in plastic cup. We would be drinking out of it and we'd be throwing it in the dustbin. And these cups may or may not be recycled. If they are not recycled, they directly go to the landfill. Now, this was a consumption of one particular person. Now, imagine if globally, or so it's a stat that globally every minute over a million cups are sold. So that's million plastic cups which are being used every single day, every minute. So in a day you have XYZ number of minutes, and the amount of waste you can automatically calculate. So there was a clear need to understand that there has been a transitional shift which needs to happen to change things around us. And that's where we personally believe that our background has always been in social impact right through our college days. That's when the five of us had met. When we started learning more about this particular problem, we thought that this is the best way to enter a particular industry and start loving what we were or what we do and create a change. And we were always of those kind of people. So we saw this problem occurring in India, and we just took the plunge. We started it off, and a year and a half later, we've already worked with 150 brands. Firstly, we helped them divert over, say, 5 million single-use disposables from entering the landfill and create systems for these guys. So we're all about creating a circular economy with our basic principles of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Like everything, whatever happens in our company till date is for these three principles, and that's why the name of the company is Recube. So that's raised to the power of three, which is what I just mentioned.
Oh, that's very interesting. Amazing. Like most of you, I remember learning about the concept of reduce, reuse, and recycle as part of environmental science back in school. What came across as just another chapter in a school textbook has become so much more real now. Personally, I find peace in knowing that I can reuse a product multiple number of times and not let it pile up on our landfills. And it does demand a lifestyle change, which is not easy given our world is living, ingesting, and breathing plastics. Wherever you are in your sustainable living journey, just know that even the smallest step makes a difference for you and for our planet. So, you've written this interesting article, which I've come across, and it says that waste is a millennial concept. So, can you go a little bit into detail about that, and what prompted you, or what observations have you had in your experience so far that made you, draft that piece?
So, because waste is a millennial concept, like it's actually true.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if I were to tell you 95% of plastic waste did not exist 50 years ago?
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
Plastic was recently discovered back then.
Mm-hmm.
And now, what if I tell you in the next 30 years, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish? Now, this talks about the entire, say, misuse of non-renewable resources, which is harming the entire environment. So 50 years ago, I personally believe the life still went on, right? Of course, we did not have so much technology back then, but we were still working out, and of course, this was before the population explosion. But there were a few systems in place. So I'll give an example. Like in India earlier, so I'm talking about early 1990s. Or maybe even 2000s as well. When I personally used to go to a shop to have a drink of, say, Pepsi or Coca Cola or this milk shake called energy over here.
Yes.
Yeah, so we had to stand over there at the particular shop, have the drink, and return the glass bottle,
Right.
because we were just paying for the drink and not the bottle itself. So if we had to take a bottle, we had to pay an additional X amount of money. But if we were not, we were had to stand there and finish the entire drink, and then that glass bottle will go back into the ecosystem. They will wash it, clean it, give it back to the manufacturer for refilling, and that would be the entire loop. So this system was already pre-existing back in 1970s. Like forget this also, like our household groceries, or say like our milk. So after this incident, we went back, we spoke to our parents about that, how did things happen in your age, like what was the entire scenario back then. And they were just very clear that if you have to get a bottle of milk back in 1960s, you actually had to return your old bottle from yesterday, then only you're eligible to get a new bottle. So that's like a complete system what they had created back then, where there was no wastage.
Yes.
Because primarily at that point of time, that was because there was plastic wasn't invented back then, and people did not know how economically feasible plastic was. But without that, we were pretty self-sustainable in that entire aspect. So hence I personally believe that waste is all a millennial concept, because we found a better material which is economically feasible for the entire ecosystem. That's when the entire shift actually happened. And I personally believe that's a fair enough shift, because if you're actually able to give more convenience to the consumer, you can get it for at a cheaper rate, then I don't see a reason why not. And little did we realize back in 1970s 80s, when the entire plastic boom happened, that it's going to create such a big issue 2 decades down the line.
Yeah.
And that's where we are at currently. So hence I personally believe that the entire values of no wastage has been there in our ancestors back from, say, centuries, I would say. And the recent explosion boom of the millennials or the generation Z has just accelerated the circular economy phase, and now we need to again go back to that particular system.
Yeah.
So that's what the entire article entailed, that everything happens over here in a pretty systematic manner, and we just need to organize it, if I may say so. Actually, I wanted to share this fact with you. I'm not too sure if you know this. India actually currently boasts, back in 2017, it boasted a recycling rate of 83% of the plastics it manufactured,
Okay.
which is very high for a country like India. Like most of the averages of Western countries or global average was 55%. But cut to 2019, the Indian average has fallen to, say, 67 or 68%. The reason being the rise of Swiggy's and the Zomatos and any hyperlocal startups which have just boomed in the last few years. That's the reason why it's fallen down. But I still personally believe for a country like India, that's great, because we already have the structure of those rag pickers who are going to every society, every household, and creating the entire waste manner. So personally, I can't compare it with other countries, but India currently has a solid foundation already. It's just that it is not organized at this point of time, and all we need to do is just make it more convenient for people and organize it, and we have a complete solution which can be rolled out globally and not only in India.
When it comes to waste and when it comes to plastic, it's something that I have also seen in an interesting video, was that in 1970s, or when plastic, had its boom, there was this short-sightedness that, great, we have this amazing new material that we can use for every single thing. Like every third thing we touch is probably made of plastic right now. But in that short-sightedness, whoever went along in this plastic boom, they did not really know what's going to happen when it starts piling up. It was you produce it, you manufacture it, but then what about the disposal? Nobody thought about the disposal.
Correct. No, but personally, I still believe that plastic as a material itself is not quite harmful. Like it's if used well, like it's the issue currently. Personally, for us, for Recube, is that it's in the consumption of the way of the various materials, not only plastic. Like plastic is a great material if used properly throughout. Like if we are putting an end to it and again using it to make various different products, I personally feel that there is nothing what can replace plastic. There is nothing more durable, nothing more economical, nothing more commercially scalable across than plastic. And it is just our misuse of consumption in the past few decades which has got us in this current scenario. So there have been a lot of pilots done by these big ass companies, say from Unilever to Coke and Pepsi, returnable PET bottle, and they wash it, they clean it. So in comparison to aluminium bottles, stainless steel bottles, glass bottles, making a plastic bottle is least carbon intensive. So when you actually do a life cycle assessment, when you're actually comparing the carbon emissions done by each particular bottle, plastic is the lowest, is the least. Okay, now in the entire scenario, all you need to do is just make sure that it's reusable. If you use a plastic bottle for over 10 times also, and provided it doesn't leak any kind of chemicals into the say human consumption, keeping all those factors aside, but if we actually manage to figure out a way for plastic to sustain 10 more washes or 10 more uses, it is the best source what anyone can ever get. Having said that, it is still not a complete viable solution because plastic at the end of the day needs to go somewhere or the other. So everyone globally, yes, so everyone globally is still figuring that entire and last bit part currently. We also are material agnostics. We are finding newer sources of material every single day. Like we've just actually started making products out of crop waste. Like we are implementing. So we're working on a few pilots with AB InBev, we're working with Diageo, we're working with Taco Bell. What we're doing is that we're collecting waste from their source. So during the manufacturing of a beer or brewing of a beer, there's a lot of beer spent grain waste which is there. So we are taking those back, we are trying it, we are seeing if we can make it into a particular material, because at the end of the day we have to shift to renewable sources. There's no doubt about it. Personally, we believe there's a lot of misconception about plastic, that plastic is completely bad. What people should have a problem with is single use disposables, be it paper, be it aluminum, be it glass. Whatever you use it just for once is an issue for the environment.
That is very interesting. That's an interesting point, because when you think of single-use disposables, for some reason, also because of the whole movement that has been created, is that plastic comes to your mind. So single-use product is probably plastic. But I like that you are also informing and also educating the public that it's not just plastic, that there are other materials, and it's the usability and it's the utility that is the issue here. That's a good takeaway, and that's also my learning. Thank you. Okay, so you spoke a little bit about the five of you back in your college days, and I'm sure you are the heroes of Recube. But I believe that in every journey that you embark on, always have more people who support your cause, or who carrying your, in this case, the reusable revolution forward. So in Recube's journey, who would you say are the heroes, and how have you evolved as a group to be where you are?
So I'll be very honest with you. It's the apart from our team, apart from five co-founders, it's the people around us, or rather, I'd say that I just want to give you a small brief about the entire company. So the reason why it started, or when it was started, was that India at that point of time had put up a problem that we are banning single-use plastic all across industries, and they didn't realize the kind of industries which were reliant on single-use plastic, and they started without any particular solution. So we thought it's a great time to enter the industry, because there is no solution. Probably we can create one. We will be able to scale it up in a much better manner. So that was our thinking back in June 2018 when the entire discussions were happening. So at that point of time, we actually took 6 months off. So our actual product was launched in Jan 2019. For good 6 months, we actually used to go door to door to restaurants. We used to call them, understand what their problem exactly is. Then you get you must have heard about this term called early adopters.
Yes.
The early adopters over here were the most crucial ones, because we were kids back then, because we had just graduated. Like, I'm a kid till date, but we were kids back then because we were very naive in our approach. Just out of college, you're not thinking in a holistic approach. You're thinking that probably this is the right solution without even diving into various things. So the early adopters were the ones that, because we went to each and every person, we understood what their problem was, and then we started creating a solution. We reverse integrated the entire thing, and that's personally the reason why I would like to thank the early adopters. Those can be our restaurants, those can be our friends, those can be people around us,
Right.
like a small community what we were building back then. Like, we are just very thankful to these guys, because they have played a very crucial role in making sure where we are. So it was just personally, I like to believe that we were really really lucky, because in our first trial only we were successful. We directly reached out to many people, and it just went through. It just boosted in a very quick, like, it snowballed really quickly. So the early adopters were the ones. So someone like a Burger King, like when we approached these guys, we are really thankful to them, because we had like three clients apart from them at that point of time, and a global company taking a call on a startup which doesn't even exist on date. So this was even before we had actually created Recube. We went to these guys and said that, hey, we have a solution. Just as a five of us, we had a meeting with these guys. So, and their first meeting, they shot us down. Second meeting, we again, like, their marketing team called us saying that this is an interesting concept. We can actually probably work something out with them. And that's when we came in and we started off. So we are really grateful for these guys, because they started out, like, they took a gamble on a startup which did not even exist at that point of time. So we're really grateful for these guys, and they helped us scale in the manner that, because it's a national brand, it's going across various outlets, it's going, like, the systems are being implemented all across. So people actually could see us, and that's how we start getting referrals and XYZ number of things. And 2019 was a blockbuster year for us. Like, I couldn't have been happier, though I still feel that we could have done more. But the entire success goes on to the early adopters, because if we didn't do the right things at the right time, or we were not lucky enough, then things wouldn't have taken off the way it did.
Whenever you have that support or the trust that you get, especially when you said the marketing team got back to you and they said they're interested in what you have to offer, I am sure you were elated, and that's always a great feeling when you know that there are people who believe in what you're doing and who are relating to the cause as well. So that's great. You said that 2019 was a blockbuster year. Take us through some of the wins that you've celebrated as a team, and not just 2019, but even before that, even before Recube became what it is today.
We are still a very small team, so we are five co-founders with a couple of more interns on our front facing. Apart from that, we have a few, like, we have a manufacturing facility, recycling, and various, like, apart from our back-end stuff. So when you're talking about wins, we personally still feel, on an individual and a company professional basis, that we still haven't done enough. So we haven't celebrated anything in the past 18 odd months. I'll be very honest with you on this one. But I can show that how we've grown, and we've been happy about it. But it's not that, like, we acknowledge the fact that, okay, this is the right step. So when I'm telling you that we are back in June 2018, we were working out of a under construction site watchman's cabin. Cut to March 2019, like a good 8 months, 9 months later, we actually took an office in a residential building, and then we started off, and, like, good. So that was the fun time. Okay, we thought that, okay, we are acknowledging the fact that we've grown, we are growing out of it, and now we can afford a better place. And now we're trying to make, like, we are on track, and we are creating a better system of that sort. Or similarly, the moment when we go to our clients and they convert and they're ready to sign on a retainer basis. Now that plays a very important role for any particular business, to get a recurring or a constant client who is there to support you in the lows and the bigs, and the entire innovation aspect. So if I currently go and call any of 120 clients at this point of time, they'd be more than happy to listen to a new idea. That is because of the value what we've provided in the past few months, and that's based on complete goodwill and consistency, good basis. So we acknowledge these things right before the pandemic, and we knew that where we were heading. But I'll be very honest with you, we are still very far off than what we want to be. So we don't like celebrating these things as small wins, because our eyes are always on the bigger picture. But we like acknowledging it, that okay, we got a new client on board and we're helping them save, creates this much impact. Or rather, I'll give an example, the one place where we had actually become very happy. So in 2019, refillable did not exist, so we were primarily like a B2B brand, helping brands become more sustainable, right? And at that point of time, we started doing a few more events and creating systems for these guys also. So when we were at a particular event and we were just setting up our booth for returns and our entire structure in place, at that point of time, a person came and told us, "Hey, all are the same ones who supply these things for one outlet called Swedish House Mafia." And we were like, "Yeah." So people started recognizing us. Like it was like a first event. We did not think that people would remember us from restaurants to an events perspective, but many of them did, and we were really happy about. We were elated that, oh, people are taking note of what we do, and it's the actual consumer who's doing that. So small wins like that, we've acknowledged that in the due course. And there are many such small instances what we really feel happy about, and that's just been a part of our entire journey till date.
In my opinion, I think these are some big wins. but it's good that as a team you are looking at the bigger picture and you have that end goal in sight. But always good to acknowledge these small wins, because it's these small things that really take you ahead and keep you going. Or when you acknowledge these small wins, and when you probably sit down with your team to discuss what's next, what are some of the learnings that have come out of, let's say, the wins or the challenges that you faced? And I don't like calling it challenges, because if that kind of limits the potential to learn and to grow. So I like to think of it that these are the wins that we've had, and yes, these are some of the shortcomings, but this is what we've learned from that.
Quite a lot of you, I'll be very honest with you. Till date, we're learning every single day we're learning something or the other about it. But if I have to just think about it, the biggest learning by far would be the power of makeshift. I don't even know if this is a term which is known to people
Let's make
around.
it. Let's make it a term.
So this is what resonates amongst the five of us throughout, because this is what we've learned through our entire journey. So back when we started, we had a half baked idea in our head which we wanted to validate through various people. Okay, at at that point of time, we had a half baked cookie and went to these clients. We were cold calling every single day. We were seeing if there's a need in the market and XYZ. Like we were complete 24/7 on the approach, on the to get more people in and join them, like make them a partner in this entire community, because we personally believe our offering was really good. Like not only we're making you sustainable, but we are also making you economically efficient, and we are commercially feasible as well. So that's where we were at. So we were constantly behind customers back then, and we were finding out newer things, and it took off really well. Cut to when mid 2019, when we understood that okay, Cupable is a known brand in the F&B sector over here. So if you go to a particular restaurant or an event, they would know us very well. So now we need to take brand calls, and we need to take things like we need to think about various things before doing pilots or doing things how they were earlier, and it really slowed down the entire process. So we actually did not get time to reflect back upon it till the time the lockdown was announced in March, or till the time COVID was there. So in a way, I'm quite grateful to COVID also, because it made us reflect back on our entire journey, and if we've drifted back from something or where we are at currently. So we realized that the thing what slowed us down was that earlier, even without our particular MVP or minimum viable product, we were so like we were going out and telling people and talking to more about it. Rather, in the second half of our journey, we became so much brand conscious that we need to build things certain manner, that we were
Right.
focusing on our brand around rather than our product itself. So we let that thing go. So what the power of makeshift does is that we personally believe that ideas are pretty cheap. Execution is the key to any kind of success. Like you can say that I'm going to create a material which is going to be economically feasible and sustainable all across, but till the time you don't do it, people are not going to believe you. Till the time you don't implement it and see the on ground realities or the on ground problems of it, it's not going to happen. So in any particular manner, just start. whatever it
Yeah.
is. It may be the most crass manner to start off any particular thing, but just start. You can always say that, hey, we're sorry, we're still building it. And then you can go one step further, one step further, one step further. Google wasn't built in a day, Apple wasn't built in a day. Like all these companies, everyone keeps evolving. So that's why we
Yeah.
personally believe that implementation is much more important than ideation. And that's the power of makeshift. Is like, if you have a makeshift solution, then personally we believe, go for it. It really doesn't matter. Like, you will have enough opportunities to brand yourselves in a better manner, because you all will be those problem solvers. So
Mm-hmm.
personally, that's our key takeaways in the past 18 or 20 odd months. That's what we've been primarily focused on. And
Mm-hmm.
personally, that's where we feel that one place what we ideally want to improve further is branding aspect, because now we no longer think on those lines. So
Right.
with all about the entire solution. So eventually our thing would be to just make it much more better. Apart from that, then I would say that another key learning would be just solve for the consumer of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
So understand your target audience there. I know it's a very cliched line, but I can't emphasize that how important this is, because a lot of us go through the entire mom's test or the friend's test of what you would have heard of it. Like, if you go and tell your mom an idea, she would be always, wow, it's a great idea. But at the end of the
Mm.
day, till the time you don't go to an actual buyer or an actual seller or whatever the entire idea is all about, if you don't go to a respected audience, you're not going to get actual feedback. So
Yeah.
understand your consumer and solve for it. Like, every single day, try and ensure that you're making it convenient for them every single day, each and every aspect of it. Personally, we believe that is the only time when you will be able to grow, or you'll be able to actually create something. Otherwise,
Mm.
like, this has happened with us. We've spoken to 10,000 people. 10,000 out of 10,000 people, not even one person said that, hey, it's a bad idea. All of them validated it. But when we
Yeah.
actually had to do a few pilot, we realized that the conversion rate is less than 1%. Now, out of
Correct.
10,000 people, 1%. So a lot of people are involved in this entire mom test. So know your target audience. And apart from that, I just like consistency and learn, build for the future. And last thing what I'd say is just get your shit done. You know your shit better than anyone else. Like, maybe you're working in a corporate, you're doing a corporate job, or you're working in an NGO, or you have a own startup what you're doing, or you're a college student. At the end of the day, what's more important is like the art of getting your shit done. Like, I'm pretty focused on this one, because your relentless focus on one particular task consistently over a span of time will give you much more rewards than your wavering mind focusing on 10 different things at one point of time. I personally
Yeah.
believe like that's one thing what everyone should be a part of. I am personally like, I try to stick to it. Not necessarily I have been like, I am proclaiming that I have mastered all these things. It's a process, but I personally can see the difference in whatever I've said right now. So hence, like, these are the key learnings what I like to just share with you. And personally, like, if you can try it out, give me feedback that if it actually makes sense or no, then I'd be happy if I can help someone out in this process.
I think there are some very important learnings, especially if you're thinking of a, long-term impact, which is what you're doing and which is what a whole environment sustainability journey is about. So I resonate with your learnings, and what you said is right. I think traditionally we were raised to, believe that, oh, your ideas need to be perfect, your plan needs to be perfect, everything needs to be just consistently good before you actually execute it. But now, because we are in this fast paced world where technology connects each one of us every single minute of your day, you just need to be, you need to be nimble. You need to go for it without really waiting around for your plans to become as perfect as you want them to be. So,
No, because we end up procrastinating so much. That's why we feel that, okay, we've lost half the battle, because we're not battling it out with other startups or other companies, or we're actually solving a problem. We waste most of our time just
exactly.
thinking that what more can we do. Whereas you stop doing it from you stop yourself from doing it. So you're fighting it, it's a you versus you battle. And the
Yeah.
moment someone can win over yourself, then you got it right. You're halfway there.
Now that you have been with Recube and you've developed the product and the brand so far, when you look ahead and when all of you look ahead together, what have you envisioned for Recube, and more broadly, what are you hopeful for?
One thing what I personally believe that like we're really really hopeful for is to become a synonym for sustainable practices in if not globally, then at least South Asia and India,
Mm-hmm.
that across various industries, be it like a company like a TCS, who's a consultancy firm who's relying on technology and XYZ number of things, or if you're a manufacturing process or you're an e-commerce company, like we like to believe that we would be the sustainable synonym for everything. Like you name it, apart right, any company who requires any kind of packaging, we should be able to create a system for you and
Mm-hmm.
ensure that there is no linear concept available for the entire thing. So we will customize the solution for you specially and ensure that everyone around the consumers have a movement, that there is no kind of wastage anywhere. So that's like a 5-year goal what we have set to India. And at the same point of time, we know for a matter of fact, the only reason why any idea can succeed is if it is much more convenient than what it is right now. People are not going to pay extra for making their lives sustainable. So it's all about
Mm-hmm.
how can you make their lives convenient by ensuring it is sustainable and economically feasible at the same point of time. So that's the thing what we want to crack in the next, like that's one thing what we're really hopeful that we will be cracking in the next few years. But apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
seeing ourselves that, see, we should be at a place at a point of time in the next 5 years that we should be able to tell companies that this is not right and this is not wrong, and they don't need to look further. Now currently what happens is that they want to validate our facts, they want to brainstorm on the entire process, which we are really grateful for. But at the point of
Mm-hmm.
time that we have to become so learned about our entire space that they should hold us completely, they should trust us completely that what they are saying is right, and this is the solution for the future. That's how we want to envision the entire process. We want to envision the manner that currently we have barely say a few thousand people who are currently in the zero waste community. When you're talking about next
Mm-hmm.
5 years, I would like to keep a meager target of say 10 million people who are uh, completely zero waste or fall in the zero waste lifestyle. Maybe not because of us,
Mm-hmm.
but on a general level currently in India. So we want to convert that few thousand into 10 million at least over the next 5 years. And we personally believe for a country like India, that's a quite an easy target. Like we can very easily achieve that.
True, I think it is an achievable target. It does make sense because the conversations have started. People already realizing, and they're also witnessing firsthand, thanks to the the spotlight that our environment is getting, especially after the pandemic. So it's good that we have started sparking these conversations, and people are getting interested, and they're trying to be more responsible. So I do hope, and my hope is the same, that you're able to convert that many people, and that many people will join forces together to really think about the impact of every choice that they make when it comes to consumption. And that brings me to our what if question. This is the core of our show, and it helps us connect the idea, the bigger picture. We know that the problem we have right now, the climate crisis we have right now, or the waste problem we've created for ourselves, it's not only a local problem, it's a global problem. So, what if each one of us started making a conscious choice? And that could be just take 5 seconds to really break down the purchase in our minds before buying it. How do you think that is going to help in taking that first step towards rebuilding, I would like to say, a circular economy?
So, firstly, I would say that it will change by a great impact. So, there was this quote I had read, and I don't think it's more apt than right now. When you go out, you just take a straw, right? Well, you're having any kind of beverage. The first thing what you do is that I need a straw to have it from it.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
that straw people don't understand is not recyclable. Okay, be it plastic,
Hmm.
be it paper, be it any kind of thing, is not 90% of the straws do not get recycled for various reasons because of collection or whatever. Now
Hmm.
imagine if in a population of 7.2 billion people in the entire world, everyone is saying it
Hmm.
is just one straw, how can I harm the environment? But what if we can actually change that? The moment each one of us, or say even half of us, actually start thinking about that, what if I don't do this, what if I don't do that, it can actually create a hell lot of a difference, because everyone has things from straw. Now that's just, of course, straw is just an example of a bigger picture over here, but you get what I'm trying to say, that uh,
Yeah.
the moment we can just take 5 more seconds, it's going to create a huge impact, because it's not you or me alone who's going to create the change. It's going to be the people around us who will be growing every single day and creating that change. And you never know, and I personally believe that there is a snowballing effect, for each and everything what you do every single day. So the moment you make that conscious change yourself, you will feel a bit happier about yourself, and you will want to tell other people that, hey, I've made this change, because it's actually good for the environment. At the end of the day, you will feel a bit happier before sleeping, saying that I did not divert one particular thing to the straw. Like I did not put more waste into the environment. So it's just about being a little bit more conscious about your say consumption. And personally, apart from that, I believe that Recube will be able to give you that convenience that, okay, you don't have to think much about it. We'll handle your rest. We'll handle the rest. So personally, I'd say that small things really really matter, and it's a great name for the show what you had, because what if it automatically says that, okay, but have you thought about this? Like, what if is a name that why not? Like, you can immediately think of it in a very good manner. So damn good.
And that's the idea, really, to break that linear pattern of thought where we usually just follow, we're very habitual, or asking this what if question, breaking that thought pattern and challenging your mind to do something differently and to come up with some solution. And luckily, we have Recube, which is doing that. All right. So we come to our final segment, and that is about gratitude. I like including this question because I believe it's important to reflect and remind ourselves of what we are grateful for, if not every day, every week. That has helped me be more grounded and be more motivated to continue doing what I'm doing.
So, in the space of professional and personal, I'll give you both over here. Professionally,
Yes.
I'm very grateful for the team what we have. I can't emphasize that how important is getting a team in place. People who think alike, people who have a same shared vision. I can't stress on it enough. Like, it's really really important, because at least the five of us, the way we comfort each other, or in our lows or our highs, the way we share things, the pattern what we have, because that eventually grooms the kind of culture you're going to be having in your professional space, because you're meeting these guys 24/7 365 days. There is no way about it. So it's very important that you get the right team who will help you do something better every single day, like not in a competitive manner, but for yourself, like which will help you grow. So I'm really really grateful for the team what we have currently, and we hope that we can create a much bigger team sooner enough that people know about the entire change what we're trying to build. That's one thing what I'm really grateful for. The second thing, you may laugh at it, but I personally believe that this plays a very important role on shaping anyone's life, which is the luck factor. Professionally, I personally believe that if we were not lucky at that point of time, if India hadn't put up a ban on single use plastics, we wouldn't have been able to get a good hold in the market. Well, we are lucky in terms that maybe it's our ideas, maybe it's our implementation, maybe it's our work, or maybe it's just luck that whenever we go to a company, we haven't found any particular person who said, oh, this is not good, or they don't seem interested for it. Of course, there's a difference in the conversion rate, that I completely agree, but we still haven't found one person who is just shot down, say that this cannot be done, this is not feasible for us. So personally, I'm really really grateful for the fact that people around us, maybe it's the new generation of people who are thinking in a similar aligned manner. Everyone's doing the same, everyone's more okay with the fact that things are going to be changing sooner or later, and can be a good way of doing it. So these are the two things what I'm primarily very very grateful for. This, in my professional life, it's just the people around you. It's like people with a purpose, and you have a gold mine in front of you, be it in any industry, be it in any startup, be it in any corporate structure. People with purpose is the key for me in that process. And personally, I'm very grateful for, again, people around me, my family, my friends, my girlfriend, everyone around. It's only for that matter of fact that because it's a startup, we're trying to build something very actively, and we are wanting to do it from our heart. We don't realize that the amount of hours you spend on any particular project, and you don't balance your life out at all. And because for the five of us, we've been part of college, and in terms of college also, we used to do very similar activities for the past 7-8 years. I don't remember a good time that where I've actually gone for a dinner with my family, or like these people, like just talking normally and not keeping work aside, because that's where we everyone become. And I'm just grateful for these guys for just understanding what I'm into, believing in what I'm trying to do, and hoping that it all works out. So these are the things I'm grateful about. And yeah, that's the eventual thing, that if people believe in you, things will start believing on its own and snowball to a much bigger thing sooner or later.
The reusable revolution is here. All we need to do is raise our hands and demand for better. Together. Ask questions if you need to, frown upon single use disposables, make suggestions on best practices, and demand for sustainable alternatives. As more of us join hands to bring back values of reduce, reuse, and recycle, the systems will turn in our planet's favor. Thanks for joining us today. We love getting serious about sustainability and hope you do too. Get to know about how Recube is revolutionizing reusability on their website or social channels. We'll leave the links in your episode notes. Oh, and get yourself a reusable cup if you haven't already. Single use is so 1980s. Share this episode with your friends, family, and colleagues. It is the best way to grow a community of change makers. Come say hi to us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. All feedback and suggestions are welcome. Until we meet again, take care, stay safe, and have a think about your gratitudes for today.